Hey, welcome back to Crafting with Cami. Today we are creating a single page layout. I'll be starting off on some white daisy cardstock, and I'm just going to adhere that down to my Versamat so that I can get everything lined up. And these are the photos I'll be documenting today. My husband and I went to a local winery and had some cider and wine, and it's finally starting to feel like spring around here. I'm just going to tear off these edges that print on these pictures. I'm bringing in my Fiskars cutter to cut these two photos apart. Once I cut down the center, that white border becomes more narrow, so I'm just making that even all the way around. I will be using the Sweet Memories collection from Close to My Heart today. This one is an exclusive pattern paper, so it is blank on one side and then it has the pattern on the other. Typically, Close to My Heart paper is two-sided, so we have this collage pattern and then this mulberry floral on the other side. Originally, I was thinking about bringing in this mulberry, but I am wearing a burgundy shirt and I don't want that to clash too much. But it would go nicely with the color of the wine and winery feeling. I have these pieces here that have the mulberry in it. They're actually from the projects, so if you get the workshop kit, it comes with these die cuts along with the instructions, so then it instructs you where to put these die cuts, but I'm not going to be following those instructions today. I'm just kind of pulling what I want for my layout. I don't know that I'm loving this pattern paper with my photos, but I do want to bring in accents of that mulberry with my embellishments. Let's go ahead and bring in some of the other papers. I've already cut into a few of these, but we have this green with kind of the diamond pattern. We have some of the blue, which is like a mist color. I do really like that zip strip on top. I might be able to incorporate that somehow. Let's bring in some of those other papers. So here's that exclusive. It's kind of that green with some mist. And then I have that collage type of paper. If I do something like this, I want the heavier color down at the bottom. And then I'm thinking the Sweet Memories, which is in that kind of mulberry pink color. This one has a lot of title options. Living the Dream, A Day to Remember, Perfect Day. So I'm thinking the Sweet Memories for my title. Let's go ahead and pull that off, and I'm just going to remove some of the adhesive. The stickers from Close to My Heart are very sticky, so sometimes it's nice to remove the adhesive so you can move it around until you find the perfect spot for it. I went ahead and cut down my papers. This one's about 2.5, and then I have this one cut a little bit wider. This one is roughly 4 inches tall. So I'm wanting that one at the bottom because it's a little bit heavier. And then let's go ahead and bring in that more collage type paper. I'm liking that, and that collage brings in that mulberry and some of the grays, and this might be a nice transition piece there. That's that zip strip from that paper I was talking about. I could even bring that up a little bit more since the zip strip is a 1/2 inch. I could bring that up a 1/2 inch more, and I don't really need them layered. Bring the photos back in. I'm not sure how I want these laid out. I could put that one down here and then kind of nestle my title up top. And I do want to use this journaling box. I think that would tie in nicely with the mulberry and the Sweet Memories title. Just moving those around, maybe more something like this, and overlap my title, or overlap the journaling, but then I'm not sure what to do with that title. We could bring everything down a little bit, and we could kind of overlap these two more. We don't need all of the blank space at the bottom of the photos. Title could go here. I'm not loving that. I don't like the title on the right. I kind of like it on the left. Then I'm thinking maybe a grid style, and then I could embellish by the journaling. Not a huge fan of that either. Let's try the title down at the bottom. But then again, the journaling's all the way to the left. That's kind of the first thing you see. I could tuck these florals around the title down here. I don't hate that, but I don't love the journaling in that spot. Let's try switching it around again. And I know I want to use those bigger flowers, so that's why I'm bringing those in too. I'm trying to decide where I would have my embellishment clusters. If I go something like this, then the title could go up in the left. So let's tuck that title there, bring this photo in a little bit more, and then let's bring that journaling box in. I'm not hating this. And this creates kind of that visual triangle. Let's bring my pattern papers back in and see if I like it with how the background will look. Bring that journaling in, and then I do have that zip strip. So that brings that mulberry from our title down to the florals up to the journaling box. Just slide this zip strip back into place here. Now that I kind of have an idea of what my layout will look like, I do want to bring in my mink ink and distress some of the edges. I don't need to go all the way around the paper. I don't need to go on the bottom since we are going to layer some of the other papers and zip strip across those. But I did go across the top of this collage paper, and then I did go across the zip strip as well with that mink ink. I'm bringing my photos in once again. And I had it something like this. I might overlap some more of the photos. I don't always show myself adhering the papers together, but we'll go ahead and keep that in this video. So I'm just adding a little adhesive, and I love how the Versamat allows me to line this up nicely. And then we'll go ahead and add some adhesive to that collage paper. And this one can go up a little bit higher. It's all right to have that white in between these two since we'll be adding that mulberry zip strip in between. I don't use a ton of adhesive, just enough to tack it down. I'm just bringing everything in one last time. As you can see, I'm kind of overlapping the photos a little bit more. I have that 4x6 overlapping that top 3x4. Now I'll bring that journaling box back in. And I am liking that. I do feel like something needs to be down at the bottom of these photos. They're just kind of floating. Let's go ahead and ink around this title. And I'm using that mink ink. That is a coordinating color with this paper pack as well. That's one of the things I love about Close to My Heart is that all of the colors coordinate. So if you wanted to add another color into this paper pack, you certainly can, and you can bring that in through ink, paper, you can bring it in through embellishments. And when you bring that color in multiple places, it looks intentional. I'm also going to add that mink ink around my journaling box. I brought everything back in. I really like this design element, and I don't want to hide that with my photos, so I'm kind of bringing those down a little bit. I'm not putting adhesive all the way to the sides just in case I want to tuck some embellishments. So this photo is going right about here. The only thing that I'm not really measuring, the only thing that's guiding me is that design on the paper, and then my title I want room up top for. And then this one I'm actually thinking of overlapping the 4x6, and then I can kind of overlap that 3x4 with the Sweet Memories title. Let's bring this one back up, and I can kind of tuck it under both of those. Right about there. And then I can hide that with my journaling box. I don't want the journaling box hanging off that right-hand side, so I do need to keep everything a little snug. I got the photos adhered, but I'm noticing that this one's a little crooked, so let's try to adjust that. At least I didn't put too much adhesive, so I can still lift it up, replace it. And it's okay for it to not be lined up, so I think I'm going to have that jolt down a little bit. I brought in my embellishments, so I just keep them in this little dish here, and I pulled out some of the leaves to go with my florals, some of the hearts. I have these 3-word stickers, lovely, blessed, and together, that I just stuck to the side of my Versamat. I have some different size hearts. So let's go ahead and play with the embellishment clusters. I'm trying to decide if I like the green leaf or the white with the green accents. Thinking about bringing this circle die cut over to the right hand side by the journaling since I have it under the Sweet Memories. I also have this little viewfinder, and here's some more of those leaves. Let's see if we like those better than the green. I think I'm liking the green better. It just kind of pops off of that collage paper a little bit better. And then just trying to determine the placement of those. And I don't want to hide that viewfinder. I'm liking that. And we can even use some 3D foam tape on that mulberry flower. Let's see what it would look like to bring this circle over by the journaling. That's nice too. And I could bring a smaller one over by the title. The smaller one kind of gets lost behind that title though. So I'm thinking I like the bigger one behind the title and then the smaller one over by the journaling. And those florals on the bottom left kind of have that circle feel to it. So bringing it up to the other two clusters is nice. These hearts have a centerpiece, so I actually get 2 for 1 with those. Let's see what it would look like to scatter those around. And then we have these super tiny ones. And we can kind of scatter those into the clusters. Maybe a bigger one down low. Carry your eye from all of those mulberry hearts. And then we have this bluer one. I believe that's the mist color. I want to include each color into the cluster. So if I have blue in one cluster, I want it in all of the clusters. It does have this little border tab that I'm trying to see if I like it behind any of my photos. Let's maybe bring a blue heart over to the right cluster. This one doesn't stand out a whole lot since I have that pattern paper directly behind it. And I don't want to take away from that pattern paper either. Let's try some of these word stickers. So this one is the Together. I'm setting those hearts aside. Let's figure out these bigger pieces first. I know I like this flower cluster down on the bottom left. Let's go ahead and get that adhered. We'll just tuck this one right down here. Move the leaves out of the way. And again, I don't want to hide that viewfinder in that paper. We'll go ahead and get the leaves down. I do want to pop up this mulberry flower, so I'm just leaving it there to find the placement of my leaves. Maybe over the top of this green flower. That's looking good. This one here, is that smaller? Let's go ahead and try that up here. 4 is too many, but 3 doesn't look too bad. Maybe that one. I like the 3 down here. We'll get rid of that small one. Yeah, right about there. And I'm going to add a little adhesive to the leaves. These are big enough that I can use my tape runner. And that one I'm going to, actually, should I go over my picture or under? Let's go over, right there. That's going to get popped up. I'm grabbing my foam adhesive. So these are just little round, that's just from my stash. Close to My Heart does carry foam adhesive, and there's actually come in a roll. You can get it thicker or thinner. So I'll have that linked below. That might be a little easier than how I go about. I'm just finishing using up these foam dots. So the center are super small dots, but then I also use the background piece, or the piece that would normally be thrown away. I cut up and I use that for when I need a bigger piece of foam. And then I'm just using those small foam dots to fill in the smaller sections. And then we'll put the flower right about there. That's looking good. Let's move up to these other clusters. So I do like the journaling right about here, covering up where the photos are offset. I do think about bringing it over to the left, but I like how it completes that visual triangle with the mulberry color when it's over here. And I'm moving that circle back over. And I decide I do like that bigger circle under the Sweet Memories title on the left. So we'll keep that there, and then I'm bringing in that other circle just to have the circle elements continue to each cluster. And actually, I'm not using the whole circle, so let's mark it with our pencil so I can save the other half of that circle for either somewhere else or maybe even another project. I want to make sure I have it big enough to tuck under the picture and under the journaling box. So now I can just take my micro tip scissors and cut where those lines meet. And now I have a whole nother half of a circle to use elsewhere. Let's go ahead and slide that one back under. There we go. Let's go ahead and adhere these. I'll add a little bit of tape to the circle so I can get these lined up, and then that'll just slide right under there. I am thinking about bringing that other half of that mulberry circle over by this greener circle, and I do kind of like how that looks, but let's see what else we have. I could bring in some of the hearts to bring in more mulberry. And then I think it needs some blue because there's blue in the pattern paper by the journaling box, so I kind of feel like that already has some blue, and then same with that bottom left hand side. But I do have these blue hearts as well. I'm just holding down the sweet memories. It kind of flies all over and it's kind of warped since I took the adhesive off. I'm liking that. That brings some more mulberry down. Let's go ahead and save some of this circle. Let's go ahead and cut that in half like we did the mulberry circle. So I'm just marking, and then we'll bring in our micro tip scissors again and just cut along those lines. And that gives us half a circle to use on another project. We'll slide this back under. Maybe I want it under the picture as well. Yeah. There we go. Let's go ahead and get some adhesive tape on that. Slide that back under. Right about there. I like how that brings the circle to all three clusters. The florals are a little, have that circle appearance, and then we have that green, and then the mulberry in that last cluster. All right, there's my title. Let's find a home for all of these hearts. I'm just grabbing my reverse tweezers. These are super nice for these little pieces. I'm struggling to grab that one. Let's set it aside. I do think I want to incorporate these word stickers. So we have the together, which is more of that mink color. That looks good right above the picture of us together. And I do like this blue heart. I think maybe I can tie it in with the together. I want it touching multiple pieces. So I want it touching the sweet memories, and then it'll touch that circle as well. Just makes it look more like it's part of that cluster. And then I have my little pickup tool here with close to my heart. It's a wax pencil, so that's great for these little hearts. I'm liking that one there. And I'm actually going to use my Barely Art precision tip glue for this one, since this heart is so small. It'll be nice to, I don't have to try to get my tape on that little heart. And we'll put that one right about here. All right, I'm just going to put this pin back in my glue before it dries out. There we go. Let's find a home for these other word stickers. This one says lovely, and it's in the green. And then we have blessed, which is in that mulberry. So this cluster on the bottom left has way more green, so I think I want the lovely up in the next to the journaling box. And I want it touching the rest of the clusters. I don't want it off on its own. It looks more like it belongs when it's actually touching. I kind of like that blue heart up there, but let's try it down here. Maybe right there. And then lovely could go up here. Or do I like the heart up there? That's looking good with the heart kind of over the photo a little bit. That pattern paper where I'm placing lovely does have that word going across, but it is kind of covered by my journaling box, so maybe lovely. Yeah, we'll put lovely right there as well. And then that blue heart overlapping, that kind of makes my vest pop. And then I have some more of these pink hearts, or these mulberry little guys. Let's go ahead and try these around. Okay, back to this blessed word sticker. I want it down in this cluster. Then I have a word in each of my clusters. I'm kind of looking, I like the visual triangle of the three words, the together, blessed, and lovely. But then I also want it to kind of be a visual triangle within that cluster of the heart, the flower, and then the mulberry blessed. So I kind of like it right there. So that brings in the oval visual triangle. I could bring it down a little more and that would still be within that triangle. But I think I like it there because then the heart and the flower make a triangle with it as well. So let's go ahead and put that heart down if I can get a grip of it. And these tweezers help get my fingers out of the way so I can actually see where it's going to be placed. We'll put it right there. So now the hearts kind of create that triangle as well. I have one more larger. Let's see what he looks like, but that's too close in size to that blue one. I could bring it down here. And then I have this tiny one that we could bring back up. I think I like it better without, so let's go ahead and just keep the small ones. I have this small one down here that I'll put by lovely as well. So I'm bringing my glue back in, and I'm just going to put a dot right here on my base page, and then tack that heart down, and I'll do the same one with down here by lovely. And then this blue one, I'll just put a few dots on. Oh, thank goodness that landed face down and the glue wasn't on there. That would have been a mess. I'll pick that up with my tweezers and we'll put that right down here. All right, that is looking good. I got everything adhered. I do feel that it needs just a little bit more, so I'm bringing my mink ink back in. Again, this is a coordinating color. Let's try to lift this up. I have my paper tacked down to the Versamat. Using my foam tool, I'm just going around the white daisy all the way around the edges. This will help bring your eye to the center of the page and kind of give it a ending point. I don't need to go all the way around. I'm just going around the white paper up at the top. It's hard to see in the camera because mink ink is very subtle. It is a very light gray. You can barely see it there, but in person it does add a lot of detail. Here's how those clusters turned out, and I lifted that mulberry flower up. We have a lot of layers going on. I love that you can still see that background paper. Sweet Memories really goes well with these photos. So that's how that layout came together. I am going to add a little bit more here to it. So as you can see, I added this little banner and I dovetailed that. This is a zip strip in that blue mist color. So I feel like it just gives the photos a resting spot. It extends off of that bottom left cluster. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and until next time, live a life worth scrapping. Bye, guys.